Radio, spiritual radio. This is AchieveRadio.com. Follow us on Twitter at twitter.com/AchieveRadio.
Oh my gosh, I got so caught up in the music, I had myself on mute. Welcome everybody, welcome. This is AchieveRadio.com, and this is Live with Dr. Carolyn Dean, featuring our very own wonderful Dr. Carolyn Dean this evening in all her beautiful, vibrant, violet aura of amazing spiritual giftedness and healing capacities and abilities, sitting over there in her beautiful home in Hawaii, I am sure, willing to spend 2 hours with us this evening and imparting once again her wonderful wisdom. And I love it during the week when people forward me all kinds of interviews and articles and things that people have written and find on the internet or quoted in a TV talk show or something about the benefits of magnesium. And after all the years that she's been doing this work, beginning when she first wrote the first edition of the book back in the late 90s, all the way to her most recent revision, 2017. So that's, 18 years of talking about magnesium. The word is catching, and what I love is when I point out that what people are reading and hearing is what Dr. Dean has said, and is being recycled and being quoted. And now other doctors are getting on the bandwagon, and highly esteemed and respected doctors. Not that Dr. Dean isn't, but you know, when it comes to doctors, they're all like goose in a gaggle. You've got to get a whole bunch of them together, making a bunch of noise before they all kind of seem to get into sync with one another. So we're thrilled to have the world's leading expert on magnesium, and certainly the world's leading magnesium advocate with us this evening, not only advocating and educating, but showing the way with her very own formulas. And we're happy to have her here tonight, especially in February, because this is Heart Month, and we've declared it as the Heart Month, and because of Valentine's Day and all kinds of other good things, but just because it's important to recognize the value of the heart and what we need to do to protect it. So Dr. Dean is here this evening. She's going to tell us all about it. Before I bring her on, I just want to remind everybody that, yes, she's a doctor, and yes, she's also a naturopath, which means she's a natural doctor and a medical doctor. She's also an amazing author. She's an herbalist. She's an acupuncturist. She is a lecturer. She's a consultant. She's a business owner. She is the most compassionate person I think I know, in her depth of real care for people and her willingness to extend herself beyond even what's reasonable in order to see that people have the choice. And that's what she does, is gives people a choice. She can't make the choice for you, because if she could, the world would be a much... If Carolyn could be making your food choices, the world would be a much different place, people. But she is at least giving you the choice. So we're so happy to have her here this evening. She does not give medical advice, but she will tell you what she would do if it were her in your shoes. And with that, we welcome our very own Dr.
Hey, Ginny. The kids stepped on the end of your introduction. They were so eager.
Yes, they got a little trigger happy there. Yes, Carolyn, just the image of you in charge of what the whole entire world ate cracked me up. It just made me giggle with joy. I know, like, I could just see a huge cosmic incinerator of zebra cakes and Coca-Cola going out the window. No processed food. Yeah, it would be a much better world, though, Carolyn. I'm honestly on board with that. I think that's very true.
Well, Ginny, with our new health chat bot that Chad is helping to organize for us with a team over there in Europe, we are going to girdle the globe in a lot more intensive way when people go on to Facebook and pose a question to the artificial intelligence. I will be answering. Correct?
Yes, you will be. Yeah, that is absolutely correct. Yes, you will absolutely be answering. You absolutely will. Yeah, it's very exciting, actually.
Very exciting. We'll talk more about that. Maybe we'll get Chad on. Maybe Chad can be our guest the month that we launch the chat bot. That would be fun. He could tell everybody how it works. Yeah, that'd be fun.
Yeah.
Chad's great.
Absolutely.
And
absolutely.
The music today, we're still in Michael Brown's universe. He's got the new bumper music for us. Here we go now, Wellness with Dr. Dean. And Bob likes it. Bob likes the tune. So thank you so much, Michael Brown. You're awesome. And
yes.
Yeah.
And we decided Here We Go Now was good because we are going. We're going places in a big way this year. So we thought Here We Go Now was very intuitively appropriate, didn't we?
Oh, awesome. Yes, it is. And Heart Month, we had a lot of response with questions to Ginny's Heart Month blog about normalizing heart rhythms, and it is so important. And here's the sentence, Ginny, that you will love. Everybody should write this down. Listen to this sentence that just came into my head. The heart has the highest amount of magnesium in the body until it doesn't. Okay?
Yeah.
Yeah. It needs to have the highest amount of magnesium in the body until it doesn't. And then what happens? Okay? Then what happens? And then we go to Ginny's blog, and you can find that on drcarolyndeanlive.com. And Ginny is writing, heart rhythm disturbances or arrhythmias are electrical disruptions of the rhythm of the heart. And what causes the heart to rhythm and beat properly? It's electrolytes. And so the electrical disruptions come when the electrolytes are disrupted. And as most of you who are listeners to the show know that when they measure electrolytes in the blood, I've talked about this many times, they do not routinely measure magnesium. So they're missing out on the crucial mineral that affects the heart rhythm. And what does magnesium do to the heart muscles? And it does this to all the muscles of the body, and it does it to the nerves. Magnesium is necessary to open the little door, open the little ion channel for the minerals to enter the cells and then for the minerals to leave the cells. And the most important mineral to achieve an action in the heart muscle or the nerves of the heart is calcium. So magnesium will open the door for a little bit of calcium. Calcium goes in, fires off the muscle or fires off the nerve, and then magnesium pulls the calcium out. If you do not have magnesium, that necessary action does not occur, the in and out. It's like totally in. The door's wide open, the calcium jams up in the cell, keeps the function of the muscle going to the point of spasming, and that's then where you start to get the spasming of the heart rhythm, the area in the heart that has the pacemaker. That'll go into spasm and cause an arrhythmia. I mean, It's just physiology. It's just the way the heart works. But because doctors have ignored magnesium forever, they don't know that magnesium is causing the problem. Magnesium deficiency is causing the problem, and magnesium could be the solution. And when we talk about the heart rhythm disturbances, we're talking about magnesium deficiency in a lot of people. Yes, heart rhythm disturbances can be damage to the heart. That's probably occurred because of magnesium deficiency. But when we hear people talk about taking Remag and then all of a sudden their symptoms disappear, we're not treating a disease. We're just helping people with the structure and function of their heart to achieve the levels that the heart requires, which are the highest amount of magnesium in the body, and then you overcome the imbalance to the structure and function of the body with your magnesium. That's all we're doing. That's all we're saying. And, of course, allopathic medicine says there's no cure and only offers drugs and surgery for these symptoms of the disruption of the heart. Because of my own heart palpitations, Ginny says that I searched for an effective treatment for many years. The protocol I developed was created on nutrients that support the structure and function of the cardiovascular system, namely highly absorbed magnesium, which is Remag, and well-absorbed multiple minerals, that's Remite, plus proper hydration with water, and trace mineral sea salt or pink Himalayan salt. You may already be aware that magnesium is a cofactor in almost 800 enzymatic reactions in the body and thus essential for many crucial physiologic functions such as heart rhythm, vascular tone, nerve function, muscle contraction, can also be referred to as a natural calcium antagonist. I probably missed a comma there, but magnesium is a natural calcium antagonist. We have drugs called calcium channel blockers, but magnesium does that naturally and normally. Giving your heart the necessary magnesium and complementary minerals may overcome the electrical disruption and balance of your heart rhythm. Making lifestyle changes, improving your diet, completes the process of normalizing heart rhythms. And this is a good point that Ginny makes. Once embarked on the process of normalizing heart rhythm, many great successes have been reported. Yet even great success can be interrupted by hidden factors or triggers that can send the body into an arrhythmia. Dr. Dean has uncovered 33 different triggers for heart rhythm imbalances and reviews those thoroughly in her ebook, Remineralize Your Heart. Going from A to Z, from air pollution to yeast overgrowth, and everything in between, Dr. Dean shows you the reason for the trigger and shows you how to work effectively to change it. And most of the reversal of these triggers is with magnesium and a few other minerals that are in Remite and taking care of yeast overgrowth. So armed with this information, you may be able to prevent future incidents and also improve your overall health. So that's perfect blog. It's Heart Month, as Ginny said. We have questions from people, but I'm going to stop now and ask Ginny if she has anything to add.
Just that the triggers are so important, so maybe we'll go over them.
Oh, okay. Do you have the book in front of you?
I do. I can read a few, the ones that are probably the most common because, this happens a lot in customer service where people, say, oh, and it's like, okay, well, do you know what your triggers are? And they're like, what triggers? So how about just talk about the big ones like alcohol and sugar and gluten and infections and potassium.
I know, there's so many. Now, alcohol, I mean, that that's the straight sugar. So it's either growing yeast, and then the yeast toxins can trigger an abnormal rhythm, or it just is a stimulant, and that stimulates you. Your heart, I think partly your heart can start racing when you're drinking alcohol or eating sugar, just to kind of metabolize that stuff, because it's just a straight sugar into your system, and your body has to kick out the insulin to put the sugars into your cells. So there's a lot of metabolic upswing when you're doing alcohol and sugar. Even gluten and the glutamate sensitivity that I have as a trigger, that can be from what we call upregulation of your physiology, so that maybe it's like a little stress on your body. And if you're weak, in a kind of weakened condition, that little stress may shoot out some adrenaline, for example, just the stress of trying to metabolize, and then the adrenaline will trigger your heart. It sounds complex, but you can follow what I'm saying. It probably makes sense. It's common sense to people. Calcium can be a trigger. I think we have a question with in our blog questions about someone who takes some calcium and why is that bothering her. And it's because calcium is kind of an antidote to magnesium. They should be in equal proportions, and this business of taking 1,200 milligrams, 1,500 milligrams a day of calcium is way too high, and it really pushes your magnesium down and gives you magnesium deficiency symptoms. Since I've been doing the keto diet, I've been eating more cheese, for example, and I started to get a little bit of palpitation. So I have to increase my magnesium if I want to keep eating the calcium-rich cheese. And I do, so I will. And I have done. I've been taking, instead of 1 teaspoon of Remag a day, I've been taking 1.5 teaspoons in half teaspoon doses. And I have not had the laxative effect, which I would normally get if I took that extra little bit of Remag. But because I'm eating so much calcium-rich food, then I need more magnesium. Does that make sense to you, Ginny? Am I explaining it properly?
Oh, yeah, no, it makes perfect sense. Absolutely.
Right.
Perfect sense.
All right. You know, the knee bone is connected to the hip bone or whatever. Everything's connected, guys. And you got to be aware that when you have a shift, it's because something got triggered or something got affected. Don't immediately panic and think, oh my gosh, I'm back to square one. My symptoms are back. Remag isn't working. You really got to dig in there and decide what's going on. And that's why I've got this huge section in the book. What is it? The triggers for atrial fibrillation. It goes from page 20 all the way to, is it page 36? Or page 34. And then I go into some other triggers. Travel can trigger you. Vitamin D can trigger you. Yeast overgrowth. So there are all these factors. Stress can trigger. It just, when you have extra stress, your adrenaline is activated, and adrenaline does push your heart. Potassium deficiency, Ginny mentioned that when your potassium is low, it's very hard to absorb your magnesium or keep your magnesium in balance. So the diuretic drugs that drain your potassium, they're also draining your magnesium, but it's even worse because magnesium and potassium kind of work together. Infections, inflammation, they'll put stress. I can remember many times when I used to get more illness. I do not do that anymore, but whenever I had a cold or a flu, my heart would jump around even more. A little bit of fever will elevate your heart rate a bit and make your palpitations trigger a little more. And I'm writing blog about some study. They'll study anything these days, but some study showing that, oh my goodness, when people have a slightly higher resting heart rate, they're at more risk for heart disease. And they don't go into the details of, a slightly higher heart rate can be a person under stress, their adrenals are a little weakened, they're low in their magnesium, so the heart rate elevates and stimulates their heart. And often people with elevated heart rate, they're put on anxiety medication, which will drain more magnesium. And the only reason I can think of why they're doing this type of study is they're trying to find what is associated with heart disease down the road. And they say, you've got an elevated heart rate. You could get heart disease. We better put you on medication now to prevent the heart disease, little realizing that they're actually causing heart disease by putting people on magnesium-draining drugs. So, any other triggers you want me to tackle, Ginny, before I go to the questions that arise from your blog?
I think. Let's just talk a minute about the thyroid.
And what I've noticed on working with my clients and patients and now customers over the years is when the thyroid is low, a lot of people have gone to iodine therapy, and they've really pushed their thyroid in kind of an unbalanced way. And they've made themselves sensitive to iodine in the future. And they can also really push their thyroid to be overactive. An overactive thyroid can actually push the heart and create heart palpitations. It's like an increased metabolism from the thyroid, a little bit of increased temperature, a little bit of increased heart rate can trigger these arrhythmias, and people really don't look at the thyroid as the problem. People who go on thyroid hormone replacement, they can have aggravation of their heart palpitations. And if you take our Remite and you don't pay attention to what we say and have written about the Remite supporting your thyroid to the extent that you may not need your thyroid hormone replacement, or you might not need as much of it. When people take our Remite, you might notice a little elevated heart rate, you feel a little warmer, a little hyper. Well, that means you probably don't need as much as your thyroid hormone replacement. And that's what most people are looking for when they take nutrients, is to try to get off medications. The FDA doesn't like that. The drug companies don't like that. But that's what I learned in medical school. Take the drugs until your body sorts itself out and you can wean off the drugs. We were never meant to go on drugs for life. So with the thyroid, when it's overactive, it can stimulate heart palpitations.
Excellent. Okay. That sounds good.
Okay, questions in the Heart Month and Arrhythmia blog. Someone says, a man, his first name is Ken. I think I can do first names. I have AFib, and even with religiously taking Remag and Remite for about 4 to 6 months, I've recently been diagnosed with 85% blockage in one of the major arteries to the heart. I have no chest pain. Now, the way Ken states this, it implies that Remag and Remite were supposed to reverse 85% blockage in one of his arteries in 4 to 6 months, and that's asking a bit too much. So please be aware that when you're talking about something that's probably developed over decades, you can't treat these minerals as if they're drugs that will just sort of stop a problem. And fortunately, they'll They'll help with problems, and they'll have no side effects, unlike drugs. But you have to be patient. You have to give them time. We do say that magnesium will help with calcification, this business of 85% blockage, and no chest pain. The key words here are collateral circulation. I know I haven't talked about that hardly at all, actually, but it is very important. If you get one of these arterial tests, intravenous angiograms, and they're able to show you percentage of blockage, they should also be showing the collateral circulation of all the amazing network of arteries and capillaries around the heart that will take over when one of the coronary arteries or more are blocked. This is the body's survival mechanism. There's always a plan B with the body. And doctors really aren't paying enough attention to collateral circulation. They just get focused on the main coronary arteries and give everyone this fear-based approach to the heart, that you're blocked, you should have surgery. If you don't have chest pain, that implies that your collateral circulation is helping you out to a great extent. So I would look there, ask the doctors, well, what's the status of my collateral circulation? And then I would look for more than 4 months of Remag to help with the calcification. The Remag dosage is also important if you're dealing with that much calcification. We're looking at 3 and 4 teaspoons a day. Can also ask, also I have heartburn after most meals. What are your suggestions, he asks, and is it related to heart blockage? No, as far as I would ever think, it's not related to heart blockage. Heartburn is, there's a lot of digestive factors in heartburn, chewing your meals well, 30 chews per bite, not drinking water, liquid with your meals, et cetera, et cetera. What you can do, Ken, is email customer support at rnareset.com and ask for a copy of this section on digestive problems in my Future Health Now encyclopedia, or get my Future Health Now encyclopedia to answer these questions. So that's Ken. Good question. Bringing up collateral circulation. The body always has a plan. Question. I was diagnosed with symptomatic and persistent AFib January 2017. I subsequently had a cardioversion, which only lasted 2 weeks, and an ablation March 2017. Unfortunately, I was on Eliquis, blood thinner, and other meds until September of 2017. Luckily, I found out about your company and started Remag, and magnesium lotion about 6 months ago. I'm now happy to say I'm in sinus rhythm, and my heart is back to normal size, and I'm off all my meds. Yay. And then, I don't know if it's male or female, no name, asks, do you agree the optimum level for magnesium is 6.5? Approximately how long does it take for levels to rise? I had my first RBC blood test for magnesium August 2017. It was 4.7. January 2018, it was only up to 5. It seems to be taking a long time, but I would like clarification. I'm taking a little over a teaspoon of Remag, teaspoon of Remite daily in my water. Not enough. 300 milligrams of Remag is not enough to get your levels up. It's just a kind of a, what do we call a maintenance dose for daily usage. If you want to get your stores up, we're talking 2 and 3 teaspoons a day. It took me a year and a half of 3 to 4 teaspoons to get to my saturation point, which I didn't even bother with the blood tests, and I've written over and over again that the blood test is not as accurate as we'd like. And so you just have to use it as a guide along with your symptoms. He also is saying he's staying hydrated and trying to follow protocol to reduce stress. And please advise, Dr. Jean, thank you very much. You're a lifesaver. Yeah, we'd like to save more of your life. We'd like you to be taking more REMAG and looking at the other products too, because I don't look at just wanting people to take the minerals kind of like a drug and get off their drugs and, you know, the heart's fine, but look at the gentle detox of Realign, all the wonderful things that Restructure can do, including giving you a source of RNA drops in powder form and the RNA drops themselves to help make perfect cells. So we know we can do much more for you. So that's that question. I didn't get the time in there. Sorry, Melody Rose. Next question at 2:33 Hawaii time. I have heart arrhythmia and have had since my father died when I was 18. I'm now 60. I'm taking 2.5 teaspoons of REMAG. That's a goodly amount. And 1.5 of Remite. That's good standard dose. Have been since November 2017. I've noticed that when I take calcium, my arrhythmia gets worse. Now, this is what I talked about, the imbalance of calcium and magnesium. I'm taking about 250 milligrams of calcium right now, and it seems to be okay. Well, I don't know if it's okay if a little bit more calcium gives the arrhythmia symptoms. Oh, she says 250 isn't causing more of the arrhythmia. The REMAG might have definitely helped with the arrhythmia, but still I'm wondering why taking calcium makes it worse. I also notice it's worse when I'm nervous or scared. So nervous, scared, that drains off magnesium to help your adrenal glands. But the calcium, look at your diet and see if you're already getting 600 milligrams of calcium in your diet. You may not need more. And it does depend on the type of calcium you take. If you're taking a poorly absorbed one like a calcium carbonate, even a calcium citrate, they're only 4 to 10% absorbed. So the rest of it is going to precipitate in the body and demand magnesium to come out and try to dissolve this calcium. So that puts a strain on your magnesium levels. This is explained in more length in Remite Recalcia booklet, so you understand it better. Next question. I've been taking magnesium threonate for 2 years and find it helps my memory. However, when I try to add either magnesium oil or REMAG to my magnesium threonate dosage of 192 milligrams in order to eliminate my nightly leg cramps, it does stop my leg cramps. However, I end up with heart palpitations. Then when I stop the magnesium oil or REMAG, the palpitations go away, but the leg cramps return. Now, I don't know how long this person has been on the REMAG. It sounds like she just started. Okay, so let me answer that part right there. Well, when a person is pretty deficient in magnesium to the point of having leg cramps, when something like magnesium threonate, which really is not that well absorbed, they talk about it being well absorbed into the brain. All magnesiums are absorbed into the brain, but when you still have symptoms and then taking the REMAG, what it does in the cells, it kind of stirs things up. It starts things in motion. It starts movement in the body. It does wake up those 800 enzymatic systems, and it can make you kind of more aware of your heart palpitations. It's a little bit of things get worse before they get better. So with the REMAG, it really is a matter of taking it very slowly. That's why on the label we say start with a 1/4 teaspoon. Some people start with 10 drops. And this woman continues, I also have had the same heart palpitation problem when taking any kind of thyroid hormone. So this is the thyroid I talked about earlier. And what she says after a few sentences, she said, I was given radioactive iodine for hyperactive thyroid in the 70s, which left part of my thyroid functioning. So that becomes sort of a irritation of the thyroid by iodine and sort of throws the thyroid off. So with this information about the thyroid being so sensitive to thyroid hormone replacement, and she says later when she takes iodine, pregnenolone, DHEA, or ashwagandha, she will get heart palpitations. So what's happened is when the REMAG and these other nutrients start supporting the thyroid and stimulating it a bit, then the extra attention on the thyroid, the extra hormones produced, can start triggering the heart palpitations. I think slowly taking the REMAG can help, but I don't know if there is some damage there that would be hard to overcome. I know the REMAG is probably the best way to go by starting with just drops to see if it will support the detoxification of this radioactive iodine. I know that sounds bizarre because she says it was in the 1970s she had that done. But the body will store things away in order that they don't irritate. And then when you start something like REMAG and the body starts detoxifying, these things can come out. So it's important to stay in touch with us about what's happening here. And the first name is Barbara, so we can help you. Maybe even do a little bit of REMAG lotion instead of oral REMAG. But it does not mean you have too much magnesium when this happens. It just means there are toxins in the body that are coming out. Ginny, I have more questions, but will we stop for a minute to see if you want to do some phone calls or chat line?
Yes, there's a couple questions on the chat, and let's do some phone calls as well. The number 602-666-6027. And if you're on the line to talk to Dr. Dean, hit *5 on your keypad. *5 will raise your hand on the little computer board I have, and I will know that you have a question or comment, and then I'll put you on the line with Dr. Dean as soon as we answer these one or two questions. Mike Freeston types in, Carolyn, and says, why is heart block contraindicated for magnesium supplementation? Does this also apply if you have an AV pacemaker? I read this on Dr. Dean's website today.
Pacemakers keep the heart going in spite of anything. So REMAG is not contraindicated with pacemakers. But let me find the section in my book about heart block because no, I don't. Where is that contraindication?
Is that on that contraindication page, at that info page, we had to stick in there?
Yes. Maybe that's where Mike saw it. So the four contraindications are kidney failure, because then supposedly the kidneys can't filter out magnesium, and then it would build up in the blood. Myasthenia gravis, excessively slow heart rate, and bowel obstruction. So I guess Mike's saying heart block is excessively slow heart rate. So if the heart's blocked, yes, I will say over and over again, I have it in the book, slow heart rates often require an artificial pacemaker. And that's how you treat them, and then you can do your magnesium because your heart is no longer blocked. It's if it goes too low, then your pacemaker will pace you. And the reason why the slow heart rate is contraindication because magnesium relaxes the heart and slows the heart. but I say it's more like it balances the heart. But what's happened with all these contraindications is they've come across them in mostly hospital settings where they give people, high amounts of intravenous magnesium, and they sort of force the slow heart rate, and then they say, oh my gosh, magnesium is dangerous. But again, it's because they've given such high doses. Very occasionally we'll have people say who take Remag that it slowed their heart rate down or lowered their blood pressure. But usually it's people who are like healthy people with already a slow heart rate, and they do start the Remag at 1 or 2 teaspoons a day. They just dive into it because they think, I'm healthy, I'm fine, and then they're surprised when they have a slower heart rate or a lower blood pressure. So all that could be overcome if people just follow the directions for taking the Remag and start slowly. So I know that was pretty long-winded, Mike, but I hope that answered your question.
Excellent. And also, Carolyn, I wanted to ask you about that. On the pacemaker thing, they still do take the Remag anyway. It's okay to take it with a pacemaker.
Correct, because the pacemaker is facing your heart, and you can't either speed it up or slow it down without the pacemaker knowing it.
Very good. Okay, and very good. Okay, excellent, because the body needs magnesium all the way around. Okay. Alice types in and says, I'm taking 4 magnesium products. I have rheumatoid arthritis, 2 toe swelling, top of foot swelling, painful to walk. Should I soak in magnesium? You're out of Remag lotion.
Well, Remag lotion should be coming this week, Alice. I just question why you're taking 4 different kinds of magnesium. Obviously, what we're going to recommend is 100% absorbed Remag, which will get into your cells, which will give you the best anti-inflammatory pain control. And soaking in Epsom salts can be very helpful too, but like I said, the Remag lotion is coming in. So I'm just going to tell you to take Remag and take the best magnesium there is.
Yep, very good. Okay, here's a good question, Carolyn. In the AFib book, you say that protein diet may not be good for arrhythmia. Should I not do the keto or the Atkins diet? Could it cause problems with increasing my irregular beats?
Hopefully I said it more like if you're on a high protein diet, take more magnesium, take more Remag. That's all you have to do. It's like I was saying, I'm eating more protein with the cheese and getting more calcium, so I just take more Remag. So you balance it out. You're not going to starve yourself of protein to stop an arrhythmia. I mean, that's not the point.
Right. And what we've discovered about the ketogenic diet, if it's done in true keto fashion, is that it's actually an anti-inflammatory diet. Is this an accurate statement, Carolyn?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, so really if you've got cardiovascular issues, which a lot of which come from inflammation and magnesium deficiency, because of course magnesium is an anti-inflammatory, if you get into the keto process and you really get into true keto, it is anti-inflammatory. It's going to control your insulin levels and other factors in your body, and it's actually going to help with that. But yeah, more Remag, definitely. I've noticed I've used more Remag since I got on the keto diet too, Carolyn.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Good.
And then let's see. Here's the other. Margaret's got some questions. Hello, dear ones. I had it stabilized at 1 teaspoon of Remag and 3/4 teaspoon of Remite. Then my left hip really started to bother me. So now I'm taking 2 to 3 teaspoons of my water. It's amazing how it helps. In no laxative effect. Looks like my body needs it. Should I up my Remite as well? First question.
Yeah, usually when I do a 2-to-1. Like if you're on 3 teaspoons of Remag, it's good to have a teaspoon and a half of Remite. So that's how I work it, just to keep the balance.
Okay, very good. Also, Margaret says, I've been bruising easily for quite a while, even though it's gone in 2 to 3 days. I notice it if I hold the kitchen tool too tight in my hands, or the summer if I'm using my electric clippers. With the pending hip replacement, I was wondering what you might suggest for me to do. I have not noticed bruising anywhere else in my body, just her hands apparently.
Well, the hands are what we kind of pound things with. They take the what am I trying to say? They take the most punishment. So they are going to be a little more bruisable. And what I say about bruising is the vitamin C complex, either the Grown by Nature vitamin C complex. I don't know, maybe standard process Cataplex C would be helpful, but it is the bioflavonoids in the vitamin C complex that heal the capillaries and stop that whole bruising business. So that's very important. It's also important for healing from surgery. So you'd be looking at wanting at least 500 milligrams a day of vitamin C complex. And I know people talk about thousands of milligrams of vitamin C. They're talking about ascorbic acid and kind of using ascorbic acid medicinally, but I'm talking about the whole vitamin C complex.
Okay, very good. Alice types back and she says, to clarify, I've been taking Remag, Remite, Realign, and RNA drops. So she was basically been saying I was taking 4 of our products, not just 4 different kinds of magnesium. Should I soak my feet in water and Remag?
Just use Epsom salts for your feet, and then as soon as the Remag lotion comes, just start slathering. Sometimes I've started using a new pair of sneakers, and it sort of tightened on my toes, so I just came home, slathered my feet with Remag, and put on a pair of socks. So you can put the Remag lotion on and wear socks to bed, and it's awesome. And just make sure you're taking enough. Like for rheumatoid arthritis, you'd be on at least 3 teaspoons of Remag, 1.5 Remite, 2 or 3 Realign, and working up on your RNA drops.
Very good. Excellent. Wonderful. Thank you, Alice. I hope that helps. And then let's see. Okay, so Mike said, great. Thank you for the clarification about the heart block. Now, your comment gives me a new question. If magnesium relaxes the heart, do I need to take carvedilol? Carvedilol? Carvedilol, which I believe is supposed to be doing the same thing.
Yeah, I was just reading about that because one of the questions we have today talks about that being a drug that relaxes the heart, and I hadn't thought about that drug in a while. I can't tell you to stop it, but whatever that drug's being used for, if your nutrients that support the structure and function of the heart are working, and your blood pressure's better, your arrhythmia is better, and all the rest of it, then it's important to talk to your doctor about cutting back on medications, because I don't think doctors want people to be on drugs constantly. So, that's my dancing around the question answer, Mike.
Very good. Absolutely. Okay, and then Marv types in and says, hi, Ginny. This is for Dr. Dean. I've been having leg pain in spite of saturating with my minerals and water. I was being seen by my doctor, who advised me to start blood thinners. Back to the drawing board. I increased my Remag to 4 teaspoons a day. Good news, the pain is gone. Thank you, Dr. Dean. Aww, that's wonderful.
Yeah, that's so helpful. And Ginny will tell you, and I'll tell you over and over again, we will get questions from people, and I think I have the email here, and perhaps I'll go over it, because someone was talking about having such symptoms that she thought she should be looking elsewhere for her relief, and then it turns out she's on a half a teaspoon of Remag a day. So it's frustrating for us, where people just don't even look at the labels to find out how much they should be taking. Yeah, I can't find it off the bat, Ginny. So
Okay.
We'll go back to chat, or I can start the mailbag.
Okay, well, let's take a couple phone calls here. Again, 602-666-6027. *5 on the keypad will raise your hand and let me put you on the phone with Dr. Dean. And then once you get on, you can chitty chat with her and work things out. So let's go to area code 347, the great state of New York. You're on the line with Dr. Dean. If you could give us your first name and then state your question or comment.
Yes, this is Joan, Dr. Dean. How are you?
Fine, thank you, Joan. We have like 5 minutes to the top of the hour. We may go over, so you'll hang on, but tell me your question.
Okay, I did the fast both for the yeast and also for the ideal weight reset.
Mm-hmm. Right.
I did the coffee enemas. I did the whole 9 yards, and I did it for 5 days. I came off on Friday, and today, even though right now I feel better, I took an Epsom salt bath, but before then I have been totally drained. I've never felt so weak. I can't remember. And so I'm just trying to understand what's going on with my body.
Right. During the you did it. Well, the bentonite and all that I recommend is what you're saying.
Yes.
And how much Remag were you taking during the 5 days, Joan?
The 2 in 1, the 2 Remags and 1 Remite.
Okay, 2 teaspoons. Okay. And did you lose weight, or were you wanting to lose weight?
What happened is, like, last September, it started about 6 months ago. I started gaining all of this weight around the middle, and my A1C went up to 6.1, and so my body was starting to not burn the fat anymore. I mean,
right.
And so I was trying to reset that. And then I was dealing with yeast. I feel I have like a yeast infection because of, after reading your information about the yeast connection and all of that, I feel like like thousands of others have an overgrowth of yeast. So I was trying to deal with both of that, to reset my weight and to also deal with the yeast infection. So that was.
How old are you, Joan?
Do I have to tell you? How do they say it?
What decade are you in? What decade are you in?
What decade? Actually, I'm like 55, so there it is.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, when you're doing 5 days of not eating, it is going to take a little bit out of you. I don't know what you did during the 5 days, because we want people to be sleeping and resting and just taking care, and there is a shift that can happen. I don't know what to tell you. I don't know anything really about what's going on. If you did an Epsom salt bath and you felt better, maybe you need more magnesium now just to get your energy back, because you know how magnesium is important for the energy. So when they talk about intermittent fasting, saying, oh, yeah, it'll change your life and all the rest of it, well, it takes a lot out of a person, and you can, just get to be a lot more patient about doing a major thing like not eating for 5 days. Be patient with yourself, and don't expect that you're going to be kicking up your heels the next day. As long as you made it through and you didn't have too many horrible things happening, and now it's just you're really tired, then just honor that and keep resting and slowly regaining your health. But I would think more REMAG will help you, Joan.
What it is I used to fast before constantly, like I would do, like I was telling Ginny, I do like 4 days, 3 day, 4 day fast, 5 day fast, and after the third day I would get this huge amount of energy, whereas with this, I struggled to make it till the third day. So, but my body is changing, that was then, this is now. But when I used to do the fast, I didn't take the butane clay. I didn't do anything. I just drank water. So I don't know. Maybe I was sloughing off more junk, with the fast.
Oh yeah, it'll be pulling toxins. That's true. It's a whole different situation. So again, I'd say just be patient with yourself and anything that, what happens to us is usually meant to be.
Carolyn, we've got to take a break. Yep, we're going to break for the hour. Hang on there just one sec, Joan. We'll be right back, everybody.
You can also get updates and resources online by visiting drcarolyndean.com.
Psychic radio, holistic radio, spiritual radio. This is achieveradio.com. Follow us on Twitter at twitter.com/achieveradio.
All they're saying is that you got to get back to the only thing that ever worked anyway. And if you want to call that very simply, no dogma included, relax and allow and let it unfold, because that's what's happening anyway. Be easy about all this. Enjoy. Get happy in the skin you're in.
Okay.
Because if you can't, the only alternative is to transition and lay your body down.
Right.
You're listening to AchieveRadio.com, the positive side of broadcasting.
We're back. Here we go now with Dr. Dean, Hour 2, AchieveRadio.com, talking with Joan and Dr. Dean. You guys go ahead, continue.
So I guess, Dr. Dean, that makes sense what you're saying. It's like I should just kind of, be patient with myself and not expect my body to react like it did 5 years ago even.
Yes, but at the same time, I'm not saying that I don't believe in aging. I'm not saying you should be slower, but I think you already said it yourself that you were on a major detox. You were pulling stuff out with your bentonite and your psyllium and those minerals, and I think maybe in another day or so you're going to feel so much better. You've had another level of wellness. So just, thank yourself for for doing that, and maybe every 3 months you can do 5 days. But don't think you have to do fasting every month or every week. Just go easy, okay?
Sounds good. Thank you.
You're welcome. Bye, Joan.
Bye.
Okay, excellent. Live with Dr. Carolyn Dean here on AchieveRadio.com. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in tonight. And, of course, Dr. Dean, available to take your phone calls if you have a question this evening. Hit 602-666-6027. And then be sure to hit star 5 on the keypad, which is going to raise your hand, and let me know you have a question or comment. Otherwise, your phone will remain on mute so we don't pick up everybody's background noise. So, again, star 5 will help you connect with Dr. Dean. Okay, Carolyn, no other phone calls right now. Let me just read two more questions off the chat line, and then we will go to the mailbag. One of the questions was, a friend of mine has been diagnosed with prostate cancer. Could you suggest the best treatment for this kind of cancer?
I'm sorry, we can't talk about cancer on a radio show. That's not our expertise. We do tell people to consult with Dr. Holt about the total biology of prostate. Prostate is interesting because the explanation I like, or the conflict that I think makes a lot of sense, is that the conflict of the grandfather thinking that he's not going to get grandchildren, and that stimulates the prostate to try to make more seminal fluid to create a child himself, to keep the progeny going, to keep the ancestral line. So I always think of that as the conflict in prostate cancer. But I think Dr. Holt's the best person. He's worked in cancer clinics and has a lot of good supportive advice for people.
Excellent. Very good. Okay, wonderful. All right, let's do some mailbag things, Carolyn.
Okay. Well, someone through Megan, one of our wonderful customer service people, sent a question, so it's right on top here. My husband was diagnosed with atrial fibrillation this past August and was told to begin taking a beta blocker to control it. He does not have any blood pressure problems, is not overweight, generally healthy at 65 years old. We chose to try alternative methods, beginning with nutrients, and a chiropractor who's been helpful. We also discovered your book on magnesium and began taking that. I don't know if that means probably taking Remag. The frequency of AFib fits, as we call them, has begun slowing down, and now we're doing your whole program using Remite, Reline, RNA, and Restructure. Plus, he's walking 30 minutes a day and has deleted sugar and grains from his diet. All good, good, good. Although we usually eat good quality meat several times a week, we observe Lent for 40 days plus days before Easter. However, we're concerned that this could be a problem since he's probably getting some good minerals in his meat. We do not want to go backwards in his progress. We can ask for an exception if it's warranted medically. What would your opinion, advice for us be in this situation? I've never been asked that about stopping meat. Well, you know what would be interesting, Kay, is if in stopping the meat things got even better, and then you'd know that maybe meat was a little bit inflammatory and stimulatory. With the Restructure, you'd be getting that protein, and if it's just meat you're avoiding, I don't know about Lent. What about chicken and fish? Can anyone chat that answer into me? So, but I would think it'd be an interesting experiment. I don't know that there are a lot of good minerals in meat. I would think you're getting enough in your Remag, Remite, and sea salted water. Now, further information, he's been using Remag for about 2 months, Total Body Reset for about 10 days. Also taking CoQ10. a Beyond Osteo product. So look at the calcium in there. I'd just be really aware of taking too much calcium. If you're doing cheese, there are low lactose cheeses you can look at. That list, I probably have blogged it, low lactose cheeses, and that can be helpful for people who have yeast overgrowth. I don't know if that's the case with your husband, but the low lactose cheeses are less mucus producing, I found. He's also taken hawthorn extract and joint support with glucosamine and garlic. Well, you may find that some of these products aren't really necessary as you continue on with the Total Body Reset. You can look at my blog, Dr. Dean Supplement Recommendations, to see what I'm talking about there. He has some degeneration in his neck and has a lot of upper back, shoulder, and neck problems. He's an excellent chiropractor. What I would do about that is get the Remag lotion and really slather his upper back, shoulders, and neck, as well as taking the Remag. The Remag should probably be about 3 teaspoons a day, and see what the chiropractor says, because things should stop being inflamed in the upper back. He's had AFib symptoms for about 10 years, fairly infrequently, but they became more frequent, but once every 2 weeks this past year, and then he was diagnosed in August. So, yeah, it's just, over time, if we don't sort out the magnesium deficiency problem, then the symptoms just do get progressive. And am I going to remember what I said about the heart at the beginning? Let me mark my place and go up there. What did I say about the heart? The heart has the highest amount of magnesium in the body until it doesn't. And then it starts decompensating, and we're just here to talk about that and get people back on track with taking their magnesium. So that was a question that just came in. As I said, I'll continue on because Ginny, I don't think, is stopping me. And the next question, another hard question. It's magnesium and minerals for ventricular tachycardia. I have a history of ventricular tachycardia. Due to this, a defibrillator was implanted 1.5 years ago. I'm on antiarrhythmia meds, Zolotol and Carvedilol. That's the one that relaxes the heart and blood vessels, which is what magnesium does. A water pill, which is spironolactone, and Tresto, and that's a combination drug, Valsartan and sacubitril. So this person is on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 drugs. As for supplements, magnesium 600, taurine 3 grams, carnitine, multiple vitamins, Super B. However, it has not prevented VTAC from occurring. So I am confused as to what I should do now. Now, I don't know if this person, the 600 milligrams, is Remag or not, but 600 milligrams of Remag is only 2 teaspoons. You can get taurine in our Realign. I think 3 grams of taurine is probably too much. I don't really find that people need L-carnitine. The Realign has the B complex, but in methylated or food-based form. So all I can say is to read our book on atrial fibrillation, or if you have the Magnesium Miracle 2017, I go into most of what I talk about in the AFib book to describe what a person needs. Now, this person, I don't know, it might be female, I'm not sure, previously was on amiodarone, which is an iodine drug, and I'm really concerned about that drug. It is a heart drug, but it's got iodine, and it does seem to affect some people's thyroid. And she or he continues, while on the previous antiarrhythmic drugs, I nearly lost my life 3 times, and the defibrillator saved me. I'm lost as to what I'm to do, seeking different advice from your good self. Can you shed some light on a different protocol? Well, I can't tell people to change their protocol. What you do is read the AFib book, Remineralize Your Heart. It's free at drcarolyndeanlive.com, and then see if it makes sense for you to take the Remag, which is 100% absorbed compared to other magnesiums and the other minerals, and look at the triggers that may be causing problems. That's all I can say. There's a lot of testimonials there about people who've turned themselves around, which means they had magnesium deficiency that was causing their symptoms, and the magnesium and other minerals helped. Someone else wrote in a question, I have occasional bouts of supraventricular tachycardia. I've had a heart ablation unsuccessful. They had me on beta blockers, but I stopped them due to low blood pressure. I'm wondering what you would recommend for me. Again, this is something that you can look at in the AFib book. We do have a section on ventricular tachycardia, so it's merely a matter of doing the magnesium and seeing how you feel. People can keep taking their medications when they're on our products. We never recommend people to stop. I'll go to you, Ginny, and see if there's anything else you have before I go to non-heart mailbag.
Okay, very good, very good. We've got a couple phone calls here, so let me put you on the phone with a couple people, Carolyn, and also we'll just run through these 1 or 2 questions, one of which is on the subject of vitamin C. Is it true that vitamin C increases the absorption of aluminum? I've never heard of this until recently. The person suggested not taking vitamin C with food. I don't know what he was talking about. Was he talking about higher doses of ascorbic acid? Do you know anything about this?
I've never heard that, and it makes me want to bite something, because people just come up with the most absurd things in the world. I mean, vitamin C is it's used for so many things. I think it is a antioxidant detoxifier that should be doing the opposite. So I don't know what's going on out there with all the half-truths. I don't know if it's quackbusters who are trying to stop the spread of good information about nutrients. But no, I haven't heard of that, and I doubt very much it's true. Jenny.
Oh, I'm sorry. I pushed the unmute button. I said thank you. Also, he says, what about turmeric? Can you talk about turmeric's properties? Why have you left it out of your protocol?
Well, why should I put it in there? I mean, why should I put in the 50,000 products that are out there? I just put in things that I know work. Millions of people are taking turmeric. I don't know that it's helped anyone I've talked to. It is an anti-inflammatory. And what I've heard about turmeric is that it's high in magnesium, and maybe that's why it's working. So rather than going to a turmeric that now with the overload of turmeric products, I can never guarantee that the person going in and getting a turmeric, because I said to get turmeric, is going to get something that's safe and effective. So I just don't go there. So there.
Yeah. It's really difficult with a lot of these things. There really are not effective medical studies. I mean, that's just, there are claims, in this kind of thing, and maybe, but I mean, you have to look at the body of work that has been done about magnesium and the long-term high-end, high-quality clinical studies that have been done. Same thing with some of the other minerals that we have in our products. You know, same thing with things like probiotics and the Prescript Assist, highly researched. And, you know, the reality is that, like Carolyn says, some of these things like turmeric, I mean, they just don't have a huge body of evidence behind them. So very nicely stated, Carolyn.
Right, and some people make, I mean, I'm going online now and looking for turmeric studies. There are turmeric studies, but what turmeric was that? What country did it come from? What product was it? And then when you walk into a health food store, you're never going to get that same thing that study was done on. There's no standardization in the world of herbs, and I speak from experience because when I was in New York doing the homeopathic acupuncture herbal work, we had to know the people in Chinatown we got the herbs from. If you didn't have a friendship with these store owners and importers, you could get crap. And you will get crap. When I wanted to do some herbal products, you know, a couple of years before I got into Codex, I learned that companies, highly reputed companies, if they brought in a herb and I asked them if it's contaminated with infestation or whatever, do you toss it? Do you have the, you know, enough money in the coffers to get rid of bad product? And they said, no, we'll gas it. We'll irradiate it. They'll do all kinds of things to, quote, purify the product that doesn't have to go on the certificate of analysis. This is all before they then register the product in their system. And I don't know if that's still the case because that's over 10 years ago now. Hopefully there are a lot more, enforcing of good practices. I know we have to jump through incredible hoops to keep our products on the good side of the FDA, and we do it willingly because we want to produce good products. But I don't trust herbs. I'm sorry. You have no idea where they're coming from most of the time. Herbs were meant to be grown in your garden and taken as food. And once they turn into medicines and high potencies and all the rest of it, you really don't know if you're really getting the benefits or if you're getting a medicinal effect from herbs. And I'm sorry for the herbalists and the herbal companies out there, but I'm sure they understand what I'm saying.
Yeah, very good. Excellent. All right, very good. Thank you. Okay, I think that probably answered Shane's question. And Super Dougie typed in, when I take whole food vitamin C, I get cold. You mean body temperature? Body temperature? Any idea why, Carolyn, you'd get cold?
No.
Yeah, I don't understand that either. Okay, very good. Okay, let's go to the phones, 602-666-6027. Let's go out to the great state of Kansas. You're on the line with Dr. Dean, area code 316. If you could give us your name and then state your question or comment.
Hi, this is Tammy.
Hi, Tammy.
Hi, how are you? Hi, Dr. Dean. I have recently discovered you through my path of trying to just figure out how to solve my palpitation issues. I have been on, let me give you a little history and then ask my question. I've been on thyroid medicine for most of my life. Like, I've had hypothyroid since I was about 16, and I'm 45 now. And in the last year, I've gone to an integrative doctor who ended up getting me to swing to hyper by giving me too much T3. I ended up in the hospital with palpitations and etc. obviously my thyroid is now greatly reduced. The dosage that I'm on, I'm back down to a adequate dose, but I'm still having on and off palpitations, and I've never had them in my life. And so I've been researching other causes. I've been to a cardiologist. And I check out with a clean bill of health other than these palpitations. Like, I don't have any other problems. And I eat I've been eating like Whole30, kind of switching to keto. So I eat. I don't really have a reason. I don't drink alcohol. I don't really have any other triggers that could cause them. So I've looked into my magnesium. I did the request a test, test that you suggest, and my level came back at 5.9. Is that really? I was surprised because I thought I would be lower, much lower but is that small amount enough to cause?
Well, it's hard to say, Tammy. Were you taking magnesium before the test?
No, none at all, other than just through food.
Yeah, the trouble with the magnesium. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, the other issue that I also have polycystic kidney disease, and I have been told from my nephrologist always to stay away from supplementing with magnesium because it's hard on your kidneys. But that's my other main question to you. I would really like to try yours. I asked them if they, and the doctor said that it would not, if I'm not overdosing, that's when it becomes taxing.
Right. Well, in my Magnesium Miracle book, I have a whole section on why the kidneys need magnesium. But the trouble with the magnesium RBC test is that it's really not as accurate as we would like. It's not the ionized magnesium test. But the story you're telling sounds like your thyroid has been banged up a bit and sort of out of balance with the T3, as you said, and then having the palpitations. If we're looking at the onset of palpitations around this business with your thyroid, the magnesium is one of the minerals that the thyroid requires. So it does sound like you would benefit from some magnesium. Maybe also some of the remite to have all the minerals that support the thyroid. Were you ever put on any iodine therapy throughout this?
Nope, I've never taken iodine.
Right. What I do, Tammy, read my Remite Recalcia book and maybe my Remag book too, and just see if there are other aspects of your health where you could consider that you are a bit magnesium deficient. Don't put a lot of emphasis on the magnesium RBC test. The scientific story about red blood cell magnesium is that it's really kind of the worst cell to test because the red blood cells have no mitochondria, and it's really the mitochondria where the magnesium gathers to make our energy in the Krebs cycle. So without the mitochondria, it doesn't really hold a lot of magnesium like the other cells do. But it's an easy cell to test. So I just tell people, especially people on a lot of medications, that, get your magnesium RBC test and see where you lie and then see if you can elevate it a bit. But then when people come and say, as you are, 5.9, that's pretty close to what I say you want to be 6 to 6.5, I'll just poo-poo the test because your symptoms indicate you need magnesium. So you've got to put both factors together and then educate yourself and kind of intellectually prove to yourself and then maybe intuitively say, well, maybe I will take a bit of magnesium. Maybe I have been avoiding it because of my kidneys, And that's a myth too, because in hospital work where they have given kidney patients a lot of magnesium, it can build up. But in terms of taking supplements, usually the laxative effect hits people before they get a buildup that would affect their kidneys. So to me, it's really a distortion, or it's a half-truth to tell all these people with kidney problems that they shouldn't take magnesium. And you, as I said, you can read about that in the Magnesium Miracle book.
I just got your book a couple of days ago, so I'm anxious to read it. But I was also anxious when I got my test back to get your insight before I started taking anything.
I know it's very confusing, but hopefully I've answered some of your concerns.
Yes, greatly. I appreciate that, and I will do that. And I will just start. Would you suggest just starting with Remag, or should I start with another one as well?
The Remag probably, because that's one you want to focus on, and just start with the 1/4 teaspoon in the sea salted water and sip it through the day, and then every few days add another 1/4 teaspoon. And you see how you feel. You may want to go up to 2 teaspoons. That may be enough, but in the meantime, you're going to be reading about the magnesium and just kind of reinforcing how important it is, so that you're more interested in helping yourself with it than being scared of it.
Yes, definitely. Can I ask one other quick question?
Sure.
About my mom, actually. I've been telling her about this, and she has relatively high cholesterol levels and has had and does not want to take statins, so she's used fed yeast rice, different things. Would Remag be something that would be beneficial for her, or is there any research? She's also on a blood thinner.
A blood thinner?
Contraindication? Yeah, she's on warfarin. Is there contraindications for that?
No. Magnesium is like food, so you can take it with anything. But do you know her numbers by any chance?
Cholesterol? I want to say they're up, like her total is up closer to 300, maybe 280, maybe.
Right. Yeah, the red rice yeast has the same chemical as the statin, so that is the best natural option. And the Remag, the reason why it's helpful for cholesterol, it supports the enzyme that either makes cholesterol or breaks it down. It supports the enzyme that the statin drugs kill. So we have people who tell us they get on the Remag, and I don't know if the latest one, I don't know if it was just Remag or all the formulas, but someone talked about their cholesterol dropping quite a lot. I'm not going to even say the number, because in my head I see 100, but I think that someone's blood glucose dropped 100. But you can modify your cholesterol, and I tell the story in my Magnesium Miracle book that when I was in med school, the quote normal cholesterol was, I think it was 250, 260. So they've only developed this antagonism toward cholesterol since they've been selling statins. So there's that to think about. And I would get your mother the book, The Great Cholesterol Con by Malcolm Kendrick, The Great Cholesterol Con. And he goes through all the studies, and he says there's not one study that has ever proven that taking statins prolongs your life. And that's what they tell us over and over again, yet they never prove it. Yet the studies will be done, and they'll say, nope, statins don't work, and the doctors will just ignore it. They'll say, well, that can't be right. Take this statin. So maybe for your mom, giving her more information about the choice she's making, so that she kind of understands what's going on a little more. It sounds like she's already on side with doing natural methods, but even, being worried about cholesterol shouldn't be a problem. I know my own mom, under stress of my dad being ill before he died, her cholesterol went up and her blood pressure went up. And one of my other sisters, who's also a doctor, convinced her to go on cholesterol drugs and blood pressure drugs, and she had a side effect of leukemia with them. So I know about the side effects of these drugs.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I do too. I actually used to be a drug rep, so I know all about those. So it's interesting. But I appreciate your help. Thank you for all that you do.
Thank you, Tammy, and keep us posted. It's quite interesting what you've been developing here in your questions. So I'd like to hear how you do. Okay?
I will. I will call back in. Thank you.
Okay, great. Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right, excellent. Live with Dr. Carolyn Dean here on AchieveRadio.com, and we're at a half hour before the top of the hour ending the show, so we want to get some more phone calls in. 602-666-6027 is the number to call. And if you're on the line and want to talk to Dr. Dean, you've just got to hit *5 on your keypad, and I'll put you on the phone with her, beginning with Boston, Massachusetts, area code 617. 617, if you are still there. Hello?
Yes, hi, I'm here.
Very good. Go ahead, please.
Thank you. Hi, Carolyn, this is Ida Pardo in Boston. I'm not sure if you remember me or not.
Oh, I do. Hi, Ida. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. I've been looking forward to speaking with you. You looks like you've been doing some really great things, and I'm very excited about it. And I really would like to begin taking your products again. But I'm having a real issue here, and no one can seem to help me. I know that I need magnesium desperately, and I am taking some magnesium now, but it lowers my blood pressure. So I've got a complicated issue here, and I'm really hoping you can help direct me. What's happened now is that I have low aldosterone, and so everything lowers my blood pressure. It's like absolutely everything, and I fight. I'm on an uphill battle every single day. I'm on fluticasone. I'm taking 0.3 milligrams. So I take one pill with each meal, and then I'm taking the salt that helps to keep my blood pressure up. And I'm on adrenal supplements, and I'm taking licorice. And it's really hard to get the magnesium in because it lowers my blood pressure. So, and I also do a hydration drink. I haven't had water, and I'm not sure how long. It's been months since I've had water. I have to drink this powdered hydration drink, and that's another way that I keep my blood pressure up. So when I drink the magnesium, I put it in the hydration drink. And I'm only doing, I'm not even sure how much I'm doing. It's not very much, and I have palpitations all the time. And food lowers my blood pressure. I have to be very careful. In the morning, I'll eat the ground chicken, and I'll have some yellow squash and a little bit of bok choy, and then I'll have buckwheat cereal. And even with just that, my blood pressure just goes down. Just almost everything I eat, my blood pressure will go down. It's the potassium. I can't take any potassium. It lowers my blood pressure.
So are they saying you have Addison's? I mean, what's your diagnosis?
Good question. Yeah, I haven't actually gotten a diagnosis. The doctors are telling me that I don't have Addison's. My PCP says she thinks I might have secondary Addison's, whatever that means. I'm not really clear. But so later in the day, my blood pressure is better, and it holds better. But in the morning, it tanks with whatever I do. I can't drink water, as I said. So, yeah, I really don't have a diagnosis. I've been to a couple endocrinologists. I've seen so many people, I can't even tell you how many, but the endocrinologists are telling me, well, I can't really help you because you're on all this support. I'm also taking DHEA and pregnenolone. And so they're telling me, I can do tests, but you're on all the support, so I can't really tell you what's going on because you're taking all this other stuff, and it's not going to give me a true picture of what's happening with you.
Yeah, I know. They want a baseline, which would probably be very harmful. You know what I do, Ida? I would look at the total biology of what your blood pressure is, the conflict that you're in that makes your blood pressure be low. I mean, it's what's low blood pressure? It's trying to, is it trying to disappear you? High blood pressure is tight and tension. Low blood pressure is lowering it lowers everything. And why is your body creating that situation? I really don't know. I don't have notes on that in my total biology notes, but I would absolutely talk to Dr. Holt about this, because you're a healthy, vital, smart woman, and this should not be happening, and you're doing all the good things, and that to me points to the need or the desire to find the conflict that's creating this in your genius body.
Well, it's interesting. I don't know if you recall, but one of my issues was exposure to EMF. So I've developed EMF hypersensitivity. And so that's really kind of what got me on this road in the very beginning, and I'm still fighting back from them. I've had, my home's been remediated, and so the EMFs are lower, but I'm wondering if what role that might still be playing at this point, and I don't know the answer to that for certain. But I did go off thyroid medication. I'm supplementing with well, not with iodine specifically, but I've upped I'm doing kelp granules and seaweed noodles on a regular basis, and I think that's really helped my thyroid a lot. But I know I desperately need magnesium. I can't take magnesium until about 1 or 2 o'clock, because at that point then it doesn't lower my blood pressure as much. But if I don't do it, I can't even go up the stairs because I start getting really bad palpitations and I can't breathe. And once I take magnesium, the symptoms get better, but then it lowers my blood pressure. So I have to be really, really careful. I mean, I'm constantly checking my blood pressure. But one of the things that
I was just going to say, there's nothing that I could add to what you're already doing. That's why I moved to the conflict so quickly, because I know we've talked before. But yes, what?
Yeah, so I was doing some research on what causes low aldosterone. One of the things that I came up with was deficiency in B12 and folic acid. And I'm not taking a B complex, and I do have the MTHFR gene. So I've just wondered if you knew anything about that.
Well, I mean, I've been looking at MTHFR and methylation for a long time, and that's why the Realign has the methylated Bs or food-based Bs. So, but I mean, that's something you could experiment with, because I think everything you do now is probably an experiment. You don't know how you're going to react with things. Right,
exactly. Yeah, no, and I was considering going on the Realign, except it has taurine in it, and taurine lowers my blood pressure because I've tried taking it before.
Right. No, I'm sorry, Ida. I know, as I said, I've pulled up your file. We've talked before, but I don't know if there's anything other than trying to figure out what what the message is with all this. I'm glad you're like smart enough to keep things in balance, and you just have to be very careful.
Yeah, I do. I do have to be very careful. All right. Well, I appreciate your suggestion. I will certainly take a look at total biology, and hopefully there's some answers for me there.
Right. Yes, and let us know how that goes. Okay, Ida?
Will do, for sure. Thank you so much, Carolyn. Good to talk with you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Take care. God bless.
Okay, excellent. Live with Dr. Carolyn Dean here on AchieveRadio.com. Let's go to area code 352, the great state of Florida. You're on the line with Dr. Dean. If you could give us your name and then state your question or comment.
My name is Prana Rose, and my question is about, I've been taking the Remag for over a year, and I have sporadic AFib and irregular heartbeat, and I'm just wondering about why the Remag is not kind of smoothing it out and getting rid of my symptoms.
Well, it's not a drug that will just stop it, and if it doesn't work, it as well as you'd like, it can be the amount you're taking, that you need other minerals as well, that the thyroid can be involved, like we've been saying today. You would read my AFib book, Atrial Fibrillation, Remineralize Your Heart. But first of all, how much Remag are you taking?
I would say about a teaspoon a day.
Which is really not that much. I've said before that the 1 teaspoon, it's just maintenance amount for daily use, and the amount you need just to keep your body going. But if you're trying to treat a magnesium deficiency condition, then you would need maybe 2 or 3 teaspoons. So, I mean, that's what you have to look at, that it's going to take more than maintenance. So just the free ebook, if you can get online and go to drcarolyndeanlive.com, it's under books. You can just download it and read it on your computer or print it up. But it's very important to get that information and realize that Remag, it's not a drug, it's just a mineral that your body may be lacking and creating this fibrillation in your heart, okay?
Yeah, well, I have chronic diarrhea, so I'm kind of like balancing the magnesium and how much, how much I should take, so I'm...
Right, and that's where when we introduced the Remag lotion, that people found that they could that didn't cause a laxative effect, so that you would take some of the Remag liquid by mouth and then take some of the Remag lotion on your skin, and the two of them together, you could work with how much you could take that way to modify your heart symptoms, okay?
Right, and I imagine that my heart symptoms could be totally not related to magnesium also.
Well, that's hard to say. I don't know you, and that's why in the AFib book I wrote the 33 triggers. So it's possible that those triggers could be causing the symptoms. So you'd have to read that and determine for yourself. I couldn't guess what it is, but it's all written out for you to investigate.
Yeah, well, that's wonderful, because I did stop, you know about hemp oil, CBD oil?
Yeah.
Is that one of the triggers that you mentioned in your...
No, but the oil itself can cause diarrhea, not so much AFib, but the oil itself might affect the bowels.
Right.
Okay.
Thank you. I appreciate your support.
Okay. Now you let us know, because most people who get up to what we call a therapeutic dose of Remag, they really do have good results with irregular heartbeat, because that's what magnesium is necessary to keep the heart beating in a consistent, balanced way. So thanks for calling in.
Okay, also just let me ask real quick, are you doing Dr. Dean's recommendation about the psyllium husk?
The psyllium husks?
Yes. What are you doing to bulk up your stool? Because that's a common question. We have people who are already prone to, diarrhea or the laxative effect. Sometimes it's just because you're not getting enough fiber. So have you contacted customer service? Did they send you that information yet?
No, I haven't.
Okay, why don't you email support, SUPPORT, at rnareset.com, and anybody else who's interested for that matter. And we'll send you the information on bulking up your stool, to what Dr. Dean recommends, and just send it to me, and I will respond to you this evening, okay?
What's your name?
Ginny, Ginney, Ginny.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
You're welcome, love.
Okay. Bye, sweetie.
Okay, Carolyn, time for, I think we've got one more call we can get in here this evening. Are you good with that?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, area code 561, you're on the line with Dr. Dean. If you could give us your name and then state your question or comment.
My name is Cindy, and I was diagnosed with AFib about 7 months ago, but it mostly occurs when I go horizontally. And I was wondering if that is vagal nerve involvement, and if so, will the Remag and Remite help? Because I have been on them for 3 months now consistently.
And have you noticed any change with the Remag and Remonth over the 3 months? Remag and Remonth.
Not really. I still have at least one episode a day, and it just seems to happen at night when I get horizontal. So I was on a wedge pillow for a while, but I would still have the same issue. But during the day when I'm up and active, I'm very athletic, I'm fine. It's just in the evening when I go to lie down. That's really when it occurs.
And how old are you, Cindy?
56.
And being very athletic, does that mean you had a life of sweating?
Yeah, I guess I did. I was, into tennis. I traveled on the tennis circuit. I do weight training now. I walk at least 2.5 or more miles a day. I'm 5'8", 117 pounds. I eat organic food. I have a really clean diet, and I'm just baffled as to, I came off of a 5-mile hike in the Grand Tetons, and shortly after that, I was diagnosed. I was in the hospital, taken to the emergency room, and they said, "Oh, you've got AFib." And I was like, "How is this?" I just don't even understand. It really blew me away.
Right. Yeah, and I looked up in my 2017 edition of the Magnesium Miracle Book, and I do have the vagus nerve relaxation phase occurs at night, after a meal, when resting after exercise, or associated with digestive problems. The vagus nerve controls peristalsis and stomach secretions, part of the parasympathetic nervous system that tends to slow the heart and dilate the blood vessels. There are chiropractors who say that the vagus nerve, where it's situated, that sometimes thoracic subluxation can affect the vagus nerve. I don't know if you've
I have.
A chiropractor. Yeah.
Yep. I go, actually, it's interesting because my chiropractor, too, has had AFib, and he said, we're doing an experiment, and I go to him, literally, I go every day, and he checks me out. I really am serious about getting through this, and now I have no thoracic impingements or any problems there, any subluxations. We've finally gotten all that worked out. Now my ribs just seem to tend to go out a little bit, so I'm getting those adjusted. But I'm really baffled. And the cardiologists know nothing, to be honest.
Right.
They just, we know, give you a pill. So I'm just hoping that if it is something to do with the vagus nerve, if the Remag and Remite will help, because I have been on them consistently for 3 months now. And I was taking the Remag and Remite improperly in the beginning. I was taking way too much in just a little bit of water. I got all messed up, but even then, when I went and had the RBC magnesium test, I was only a 5.3, and I was literally guzzling the magnesium.
Right. Yeah.
So I just ordered another test today, and I'll probably end up getting it done next week. But I just wanted to check with you to see if it can help, if it is vagal involvement.
It can help, but just basically because it does help balance the nervous system. I don't want this to sound like another cop-out, but I would look at total biology. It's more not so much the vagus nerve, but what's happening when you lie down that your body gets triggered.
Yeah.
So that is something Dr. Holt could explore with you. That you're probably too much, quote, together to be lying down and get anxious, but maybe your physiology is triggering your heart on a level of fear that you don't represent in your psyche, but your body's doing something to try to put sort of a fear there to protect you. I know that sounded a bit convoluted, but that's what
No. I've got to tell you, after that experience, whatever triggered that in Wyoming, and
oh yeah.
I live in Florida, and I went to Wyoming, and I was on a 5-mile hike. I could have had a little dehydration, the altitude, a little too much caffeine. That might have triggered the whole thing to begin with. Plus, before I left, I really did have a very bad virus, and I probably was low in my magnesium stores. So all that together could have been the perfect storm. And then once that happened, I think emotionally, it really triggered fear in me. And I've been really working to get past that, doing subconscious stuff. But I'm just hoping that, the Remag and Remite can help, to some degree. And I have to work on my, subconscious, I think, as well.
Right. Well, it's, yes, that's exactly where Dr. Holt could come in, because it's with total biology, people will have an event, like you say, a perfect storm, that will then trigger a past experience, and it could be anything, and often it can be relatively simple to discern when you have someone like Dr. Holt, just to ask the right questions of what this sounds like to him, kind of medically and in the total biology way. A kid, for example, being held down to give them a vaccination, and then you're in the hospital getting blood tests, and just there's something that, as you say, that happened there, but it triggered a past fear, and now you're carrying that because you haven't figured out what's causing what.
Right. Well, how would I get a hold of Dr. Holt?
Ginny, how do we do that?
Dr. Holt's at turnpointhealth.com, and you can just also email me, support, SUPPORT, at rnareset.com, and just I will give you some information of how to contact him via email. Just let him know that you were referred by Dr. Dean, and he'll take it from there. His initial consult is no charge.
Okay. Okay, great. All right, I will look into it. Well, thank you so much, and I'll continue. I put my daughter on the Remag and Remite, and I've referred 5 other friends, and they're all on it. So, everyone else get well. Okay, great. Well, thank you so much, and Ginny, I'll try to get a hold of you, and hopefully I can get Dr. Holt's information.
Yep, just shoot me a quick email, and I'll get right back to you.
Okay, follow this up. I mean, I know you need the magnesium anyway, and it's only going to be helpful, but it's going to be even more helpful to find out what your particular trigger is.
Okay, well, I thank you so very much.
Okay, great, Cindy. Thanks for calling. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye-bye.
Okay, Carolyn. Well, that was just zoop, and we just zooped through the hour, and now it's over. I think we're pretty caught up. Go ahead, Carolyn.
No, I was just kind of chuckling. It was a busy 2 hours, and we didn't get through everything. I didn't even talk about my blogs, the nutritional management in medicine or abuse in medicine. But if people aren't signed up to my newsletter or the Ginny's newsletter, do that, or you can go to drcarolyndean.com to see my blogs. You can go to drcarolyndeanlive.com to see Ginny's blogs. And thank you, everybody, for listening and contributing. We really appreciate it. We're having such a good time.
Yeah, absolutely. And Corinne left a message on the InQuick chat room. She said, sounds like the caller with the low blood pressure had dysautonomia. I suffer from it, and the medication midodrine has been a lifesaver to keep my blood pressure up. Remag and Remite has also been essential to my healing. So that was the comment from one of our people. I wanted to get that in the record. So
dysautonomia, disorder of the autonomic nervous system. Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Bob. I know you're there. Thank you, Carolyn. As always, beautiful and amazing show. Thank you, everybody, for calling in and participating, because you make it interesting and effective for other people. So thanks again, everybody. Thank you, Bill. And thank you, Michael Brown. Right, Carolyn?
With Dr. Carolyn Dean here on
Ditto. Ditto.
Until next time, so long, and thanks for all the fish.
AchieveRadio.com. Psychic radio, holistic radio, spiritual radio. This is AchieveRadio.com. Follow us on Twitter at twitter.com/AchieveRadio.
When it's much more simple than that, you have a physical body. Your physical breathing, blood pumping, mucus creating physicality that has access to non-physical. And everyone has that inside them. That's how the coroner can tell if you're deceased or not.
You're listening to AchieveRadio.com, the positive side of broadcasting.